Hi, my name's Dr. Elisa Kriegel, and this is the podcast Let's Talk About Sex, Really. It is now January 2026, and I had taken a short hiatus. And the reason being, I had shared with people that I had a memoir coming out. It came out in November. This is it from all my little tabs in here from readings, from Sexless Marriage to Sex Goddess, a memoir. Anyway, one of the delays is, putting focus on the book took time, but there's a topic that I wanted to share a little bit about because I think it is one that's important and vulnerable. And it was the preface to my book as well. And it's that psychologists don't do this. This is not, there's not a real strong history or people I could follow of very many psychologists who write memoirs that are so personal and especially about sex. And so it took me many years to really figure out if this was something I was going to do. And even though the book was, at some point, 70, 80, 90% written, I really had to make the decision to whether I was going to pursue a publisher. And once I got the publisher, it was still a bit terrifying to put it out there. And part of that is just something I talk about all the time, which is vulnerability. And in order for any relationship to work well, there needs to be vulnerability. And any of us digging into ourselves and figuring out the scary parts and the revealing parts is what really brings people closer. And I think what is the most helpful for other people for change to occur. As a psychologist, it's a little tricky. I am encouraging my clients to be vulnerable and I am showing up for them. I try to be as honest in my presence, in my responses, while also really holding space. But that space is not for my personal stories, for my clients to be helping me. And so the idea of sharing such personal information can be tricky. There's a lot for psychologists about disclosure. So I had to really sit and think about why I was doing this, why I was putting this book out there. And at the end of the day, what I came to was that my story, my experience, the challenges in my marriage, sexlessness, which I had looked up, and there are some very clinical books about sexless marriages, but there wasn't a lot of really personal books about it. And in fact, it's not a topic that people talked about a lot. I think it makes people so uncomfortable. And yet, there is such a high statistic of people who are in some version of a sexless marriage. And I think as a psychologist, having tools, having skills, and yet still just being human and having the experiences that we all have as humans and flaws and challenges. I thought that was important. I thought it was important for people out there to be able to see that. But even with my training and my skills, we all fall into traps in relationships and we all have to face challenges and we all have to get vulnerable if we want things to really grow and move forward. And if we want to maintain our connections. And so I decided to publish, as you can see. Big surprise. Um, Big reveal here. But it was really important for me to have support around working through what that could mean. And for any clients of mine who find this podcast, who listen to this podcast, um, I'm leaving it up to each individual client. If there's something that they see in the author memoir part of my life that they want to bring to sessions, there's an open space for that. It's not something I don't have my book in my office. I'm not handing it out to all my clients because they haven't asked for it and it's not necessarily their issue. So just like with anything else, it's there should they have curiosity or interest, and that will be a conversation. On the wider audience who aren't clients, on people who read the book, what I'm also hoping is that this book and my putting it out there is no longer just my story, but it resonates and can become everyone's story. So my hope is that instead of just treating and working with the few clients I work with one-on-one, that I have an ability to hopefully bring some help and healing to a wider population and to people who, for whom this story might really resonate. So I think that this idea, psychologists don't do this, is also in line with something that I really want to look at in this year ahead in podcasts, which is sometimes the things we have to do in relationships are hard. And sometimes it feels like you haven't done them before, and that not many people. Maybe you haven't had friends who talk openly and graphically or share details about their sex life, which is fine. But it can be a little scary to figure out what to do. And because so much of what I share and so much of what I really believe the work is, and the pleasure is in connecting in relationships and discovery, so much of that is about challenging ourselves to do things that may not have been done, right? To challenge what are some of the, ideas and quote rules around dating and around sex and around how you do that. And to really come to the table, come to yourself, come to whoever you're with a little bit more bravery and courage and vulnerability that matches what's needed for the relationship, for where it is. And I like to think that the other piece that comes through in the book is not just about sex and sort of sex positivity, around the positive way of viewing that sex isn't shame, and we can learn how to let go of shame, and that sex is healthy and vibrant and a way to learn about yourself and a way to express yourself and is good for you, and stop having all this negativity around it. But also that it's not just about sex, but also about connection with yourself. And in connecting with yourself and being honest, you're connecting stronger with someone else, which is what I was really going for with the book. If I can put myself on the page in a really honest way, then people who read it, then if you read it, I hope you read it, um, can find themselves and their truth in it. And so, I mean, everything in life can be seen in parallel. Putting myself out there in a memoir is putting myself out there in my life, in my relationships. And hell, just because I did the book, just because I faced this challenge, that's something that I hadn't seen done very frequently. That may even be a taboo in a way, right? Self-disclosure, even though it's not happening in the room with my client. There's this old sort of Freudian idea of the therapist as blank slate, which is bullshit, basically, because we show up as ourselves, we show up with our own energies. We're not blank, not completely. Anyone who thinks they are, kind of fooling themselves. But in doing so and facing this challenge, I, I'm not done. This is one step in the challenge, and I still have my challenges in my relationship with vulnerability, with keeping exploring and sharing with others, with my partner. So I am really hoping that this is an opportunity that 2026 and these upcoming podcasts and this my putting myself out there in a way that psychologists don't usually do, that many people don't usually do, sharing something so personal, so vulnerable, is an invitation and an inspiration that if I can do it, so can you. And it doesn't happen all at once. So find the tiny step, find the space where you're afraid. Find the fear and what challenges you. And also find the goal. How do you want to feel in your body? How do you want to feel with your partner? How do you want to feel that would feel more connected? What are any fantasies or ideas or things you read in a book, even, or thoughts you've had, or that you'd want to try? Or where are some parts of yourself that maybe you explored with other people and you're not exploring in your current relationship and you're feeling disconnected from them because for some reason it doesn't feel safe? So look at what it would take for one small step, right? That one little piece, that one little thing you could do or say that may not change your life today or your sex life, but that is on the path towards starting to open things up. My book was 10 years in the making, from first word on the page to publishing date. It was not a quick and brave decision all at once. And it was not even brave a lot of the times. I was in terror. And that's part of the process and the vulnerability. So I am excited for a new season of podcasts, and I am thrilled that you are here. And please like and share and check out the book and look at all my past podcasts if you're new and haven't listened before, because most of them don't get old. It's sex. It doesn't change all that much. Anything I talked about a year or 2 or 3 years ago is still relevant today. And if there's updates, I'll update you. But I hope, like I said, this can be an inspiration and it's an invitation to try something that you usually don't do, even if it seems to break the rules. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. Get a chance, check it out. Drop me a line through my website, elisakriegel.com. I would love to hear what you think. If you have questions or ideas for future podcasts, please shoot me an email. DM me on Instagram. Let's talk about sex underscore really. And thank you again. Take care. Bye.